Hello, welcome to How to Level Up Fast Now. Okay, this is July 2015. So if you're watching the video a lot later, it's not going to work probably. So when you start the season, right, you want to go immediately into this. This deck, right, is actually going to be able to get you much higher. It's going to get you to that point where you'll be able to, and you'll see later in the video, where you'll be able to swap it out for a mage deck. But you can't use that mage deck early on because this is a way to rank up from 20, I would say, to about 10, 9, 10, to about rank 9 or 10. If you play this deck, you'll be able to do it. So look at the deck. So first thing you want to think about is Flame It, for instance, is a very good card at the beginning. Of course, you don't want to play it against a zombie chowder. That would not be a very good idea. In that case, you might want to play, you know, a Nerubian Egg or something like that. So, and the thing is, right, Knife Juggler. Often you think, well, a Knife Juggler will be good, I can combo it with Implosion. But it's not that good to do that. Really what you want to do is you want to get out Voidwalker is a good turn 1 often. Leponome, if there's nothing on the board, can be okay as well. But remember there's certain things you have to keep in mind. For instance, if you put Direwolf out turn 1 with the coin, obviously, when you're playing a priest, then when you put that a Knife Juggler down next to it, or even if you put a Flame Imp down next to it, that's going to be a 4/2. Which means that's going to be unable to be killed. So they're going to probably have to put down something, you know, like a Dark Cultist or something like that. So it's a very good card. And there's a lot of very good cards. Don't waste the Owl though. You know, the Owl can often be the finisher when, you know, when they just put up a taunt. You might have a Belcher and you're just like a few points away from victory. Another thing with this deck is that you have to clear the board, but you also sometimes have to mix and match what you do. Sometimes you're going to want a bit of face and a bit of board clear. It depends how you're doing. If you feel you're in control of the match, then you can do that. And you know, but you don't want to be tapping too much early on in the game. Early on in the game, you really want to be playing everything. It doesn't matter, even if you go down to like 0 minions. If you're like got a big health advantage, then it's not really going to matter. If you do get Doom Guard, the thing is you do want to try and make sure you don't have 2 Doom Guards, obviously, because then you're very likely to lose one because your card situation is not going to be that great. The Nerubian Egg is good, but don't just assume, don't just like think, oh, I'm going to power overwhelming whatever comes up. You know, to kill a 1/3 or something, you're probably not going to want to waste a power overwhelming on that because that's bullshit. Yeah, so you don't want to waste that. Knife Juggler is good, but you don't want to start with, I mean, most of the time you don't really want to start with Knife Juggler because starting with Knife Juggler is not going to be great. You want to start with something shit. Like, the thing is, yeah, like, the good thing about Direwolf is that you can actually start with that. Even if it goes down, then you can put out the Knife Juggler, which is less likely to go down. I mean, look, always have to keep in mind that there will always be certain combos with Knife Juggler. Everyone knows if you put down Horned Creeper, they put down something with 2 attack or above, then you're going to be able to put out Knife Juggler and then kill it and get the knives from it. But it doesn't always work like that way. Also keep in mind, right, the reason why this deck works quite well is because at lower ranks, the amount of face decks is very high. Yeah, like for instance, you come with things like, I mean, I've often at lower ranks come across like Face Paladin, and that's something you don't even really see. You know, and they're rolling with stuff like you know, the 2/1 Pirate and stuff like that. So it's not really, you know, it's the charging Pirate. So yeah, so I mean, so you do have to deal with that. If you do want to play another class, I would suggest Hunter. But the thing about Hunter, you have to really go for a mid-range Hunter. You can't go for you can't go for like Face Hunter because of the nerfs in the past to Undertaker and to Flare. It basically makes Face Hunter really shit now. So that's not good. In-Gang Boss is a great card. Yeah, but you don't always want to lose. You don't always think just to try and get, you know, I mean, power overwhelming it sometimes be useful. You really the idea is to get lots and lots of minions down and make it very difficult to, for the white. But when it gets to like there's certain turns, right, obviously, where you know that you could be in trouble with area of effect attacks by your opponent. In that case, you don't necessarily want to go overboard with it. So yeah, a Dark-Eyed Dwarf, really what you want to do is you really want to be buffing up something with, you know, it's great to have, imagine like you've got Dark-Eyed Dwarf, you can get, say if there's a Horned Creeper next to a Direwolf, then you can get something with 4 attack, with 4 health, and you're killing it with something which has only got 1 attack. So it's like, that's pretty good. So anyway, so yeah, so it's a really good, you know, it's good cards. Try and clear the board. Try and sometimes mix it, match it around turn 4 to 6, and obviously you can you do your lower Theb plays, and then that's going to make it impossible. If once you know you've sort of got that victory, you know you can do lower Theb, and then you can owl their Belcher or something like that. So there's lots of good plays there. Now, once you get to about rank, you know, between, I don't know, I found it's probably about between rank about 8 to 10, something like that. You'll find you'll need to switch to something better. You need to switch to a more advanced class. So once you've got there, but don't switch to this class before, because if you switch to the class I'm going to go for now, which is the Mage class, it's not really going to work that well, yeah, because this is, you can see there's the line of cards is longer, and that's because at higher levels you often get, like for instance, you often get this longer line of stuff. Like for instance, look at the if you look at the you know, what I was mentioning before, just before I talk about the Mage class. So a Hunter, this is a good class. So you can see it's got a lot, you know, this is mid-range, you've got that Mystic, you've got lots of cards here that you're gonna be very useful, yeah. And that's a very, very good class. You might want to level up with this as well. But yeah, keep in mind that the higher class, like for instance the Priest deck I've got at the moment, that's a high level deck as well. And you can see there's a little bit longer, there's a little bit less of 2/2/2/2/2 with each card. And that's often the way. And yeah, this is obviously a Mech Priest, which is a very powerful deck. But yeah, so once you get to about that, you do this deck right here will take you from 8 to, I would say, about rank 2 or 3. And obviously right at the very top, it's a case of they're going to be all sorts of tiny little things, which little changes. But yeah, this deck is great though, because obviously it's a Flamewaker deck, but it's also got power with Kez and Mystic. Imagine if you're playing, you could be playing a class that has no secrets, and they've got a Kez and Mystic, and then you can just get your secret back. And obviously the secrets that we've got here, Counterspell and Mirror Entity, so they're very, very powerful secrets, both of them. In one of my recent game, I could have lost to a Tree of Life from a Druid deck. Counterspell came in and it was all over. And yeah, so you've got Sylvanas to take their cards away. Early game you can get some unbelievable plays, let's be honest. If you get like Sorcerer's Apprentice, you know, you could easily play Sorcerer's Apprentice 2 mirror images. You can play Mana Worm with a mirror image. And think about how you're going to use the coin as well. With a Mage, there's no, you know, with certain decks, there's this sort of assumption that they're going to play something. For instance, when a Warlock doesn't play anything at the beginning, it's like you're like, oh, okay, it's full of giants. It's got Twilight Drake, you know, or you know, that's what people think, and that is the way it is. So yeah, obviously you've got Unstable Pool, which is great. Mad Scientists are great to get. The important thing, right, one of the most important things, right, is you don't want any secrets in your opening hand, because you want the Scientist to get the secret out for free. That's an ideal situation to have. If you can get Flamewaker on the board, it's you know, don't get Flamewaker on the board too early until you can actually do something with it. Because once you can do something with it, you know, try and get some of their you know, like direct removal out. Obviously not the area effect stuff. But yeah, it's a very, very good deck. Now, what about the situation where you could Flame Cannon or you could Frostbolt? Often you see the point. Sometimes you really do need to. It's not that different. I mean, it is kind of different, but it's like if you want to get the most. I mean, Frostbolt. I mean, it's got damage, but it's also got that freeze effect. So if you're really just trying to push it, and you're going for that, you know, you've got a Fireball in your hand, you know, you have to think a little bit, with higher decks in general, you have to think a little bit earlier. You've got to really try and do, you know, count up the numbers. Can you actually win, you know, will you be able to win in 2 turns? You have to focus a bit more on face, really. Thaurissan can, of course, be very good. And of course, you know, but all these cards, you know, things like Echo of Medivh, for instance, that will, you know, that will become apparent when you've got loads and loads of cards on the board. Often with my Echo of Medivh, I remember I've got quite a few mirror images from that. Mirror image is a difficult card to play. Don't just think if you put it out at the beginning. You see, one of the reasons it doesn't work on low rank, so you just put this out at the beginning, it's very easy to actually lose, because what will happen is you'll be dealing with very face-oriented decks who have a lot of minions, and they'll just be able to go through them before you can really do much. But yeah, if you can get that Flame Waker out, you know, you want to, you know, like Flame Waker can go well. That's the thing, you don't really want it too early on. It's a similar thing, but slightly less than Knife Juggler with the Warlock. You don't want it too early on. And yet, obviously, Sorcerer's Apprentice is very good, but at the same time, you may want to. You have to see certain cards that don't have a death rattle. You have to see those as, you know, these. It doesn't matter so much about these, you know, because the thing is, the same with like Direwolf with the Sorcerer's Apprentice. Okay, Sorcerer's Apprentice has got a really cool effect that you can get really cheap stuff if you can combo with the Flame Waker, and then you can go Flame Waker, you know, mirror image, you know, and then with the Unstable Portal for 1 and stuff like that. It's pretty cool, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really have a death rattle. So yeah, I mean, so that's the thing you have to keep in mind. You will sometimes want to put it out early on, and even if you lose it, like Mana Worm, you really want Mana Worm to do something. You don't want Mana Worm to die early on, because Mana Worm can keep on buffing itself up. It's not like got a direct effect. So yeah, but like I say, it's a harder deck to play, but you can get some really cool results. As in my recent games, I've actually done that. And obviously the Azure Drake is fairly standard, and you can obviously do a 7 attack fireball with that. Dr. Boom is cool. Dr. Boom is an interesting card to play. It's actually, you know, you always really want to play that flat out turn 7. And yeah, I mean, so it's a pretty good. I mean, with Sylvanas, always keep in mind you want to try and play Sylvanas after the silencers have come, of course. And often, you know, there's a sort of thing that you put down Sylvanas to when you get a big minion, but sometimes you want to preempt that big minion, so it doesn't actually come down. If you think the big minion's going to come down from your opponent, maybe put down Sylvanas. Just keep these things in the mix. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty good. Getting the mirror entity is obviously, you know, pretty ideal. But you aren't always going to get a secret from the Mad Scientist, which is why you really want to play that really early. But yeah, I mean, so that's all I can really think of. Like I say, if you do what I said, that's gonna level up fast. So that will be the end of this.